The best phone you can buy right now is one you have probably never seen a single ad for, because the smartest, cheapest phones on the planet come from companies that barely spend $1 telling you they exist. 5 of them are hiding in plain sight. Let's count them down.
Number 5. The Motorola Moto G Power 2026. This is the phone that's been sitting on the shelf the entire time, that almost nobody actually recommends, because it doesn't do the one thing that gets phones talked about. It doesn't chase specs, and that is exactly why it's a goldmine. Here's what $299 gets you: an IP68 and IP69 rating. That's not a typo, both. Which means this cheap phone is more water resistant than flagships that cost 4 times as much. A 5,200 mAh battery that genuinely goes 2 days on a charge. Near stock Android, which means no bloatware, no laggy manufacturer skin, no drama. One of the cleanest software experiences you can get outside of a Pixel. And, almost unbelievably in 2026, a headphone jack. Now, why does nobody talk about this phone? Because it doesn't have a 200 megapixel camera to slap on a billboard. It doesn't have a benchmark score that wins arguments on Reddit. The reviewers who live and die by spec sheets glance at the chipset, see a modest processor, and move on. And the tech tubers chasing the newest, shiniest flagship? This phone doesn't get them views. But here's the thing they're all missing. For the overwhelming majority of people, the people texting, calling, scrolling, streaming, taking photos of their dog, this phone does every single one of those things flawlessly, survives being dropped in a sink, and lasts all day and then some, for the price of a nice pair of shoes. The honest catch, because I always give you the catch, the processor is genuinely modest. If you're a heavy mobile gamer pushing the newest titles on max settings, this is not your phone. It'll stutter, and Motorola's software support at this tier isn't the longest in the game. But if you want a rugged, clean, all-day phone that just works and never asks you to think about it again, the Moto G Power is the most quietly reliable $300 in tech. It's the phone nobody's marketing to you because there's no drama in "it just works." And "it just works" is exactly what most people actually need. Number 4. The OnePlus Nord CE 5. Here's a company that knows how to make a phone go viral. OnePlus built its entire reputation on the flagship killer. Gorgeous hardware, blistering speed, half the price of a Samsung, and they pour every dollar of marketing they have into their top-tier flagship line. Which means the phone I'm about to show you gets almost none of that attention, even though it inherits the DNA that made the brand famous. The Nord CE 5 is what happens when a performance-obsessed company builds a phone for people who refuse to spend flagship money. It runs a Dimensity 8350 Apex chip that is, by a real margin, one of the strongest sustained gaming performers in its entire price bracket. And I want to underline sustained, because plenty of cheap phones post a big benchmark number for 90 seconds and then throttle into a slideshow. This one holds its performance. It's paired with Oxygen OS, which remains one of the lightest, fastest, least cluttered versions of Android on the market. The software genuinely disappears and just lets the phone fly. Add a large, long-lasting battery and fast charging that embarrasses phones twice its price, and you've got a device that feels premium in the exact way that matters day to day. It never slows down, it never lags, it never makes you wait. So why is it buried? Because it's not the phone OnePlus puts on the launch stage. It's the quiet middle child, sold mostly unlocked, mostly online, with almost no presence in the carrier store where most people still buy their phones. You have to go looking for it. Most people never do. The honest catch: the camera is good, not flagship. It won't outshoot a Pixel in the dark. and the long-term software support is shorter than the 7-year commitments the big players now offer. So this is a phone for someone who upgrades every few years, rather than someone who wants to keep one device for a decade. But if you want a phone that feels genuinely fast, the kind of fast you notice every time you pick it up, for comfortably under $400, the Nord CE5 is a performance goldmine that OnePlus barely admits it makes. Number 3. The CMF Phone 2 Pro. This is the one where I lose half of you, because a lot of you have never heard these two words together in your life, CMF Phone. And that reaction right there is the entire point. CMF is the budget sub-brand of Nothing, a company whose entire identity is design. And this might be the single most interesting cheap phone on the market, a phone with a genuinely distinctive look, exposed screws, swappable back panels, and modular accessories you can physically attach, in a category where every other phone is a black rectangle trying to look like an iPhone. Under that unique design sits a Snapdragon 7 series chip that handles everyday life without breaking a sweat, a bright, sharp display, and Nothing's clean, thoughtful, genuinely likable software. For a phone that costs less than $300, it punches so far above its weight that it makes you question what you're actually paying for on a mainstream mid-ranger. So, why is it invisible? Because Nothing is a small company with an ad budget that rounds to zero next to Samsung and Apple. They can't buy the Super Bowl. They can't paper your city in billboards. They can't pay your carrier to put it by the register. The only way this phone reaches you is through people who already know, which right now is you. The honest catch: availability is the real weakness. Nothing's newer models have seen delays, stock on the current Pro can be tight, and you're buying from a smaller player without the vast service network of the giants. So it's a phone for someone comfortable buying online and a little off the beaten path. But if you want a phone that actually has a personality, that people pick up and ask about, that does everything a normal person needs, for the price of a mid-tier phone from a brand you've heard of purely because they outspent everyone, the CMF Phone 2 Pro is a gold mine hiding behind a marketing budget it doesn't have. Number 2. The Samsung Galaxy A37 5G. This one's different from the others, and it's my favorite kind of buried, because it's not buried by a small company with no money. It's buried by one of the biggest marketing machines on the planet. Buried on purpose. The Galaxy A37 5G costs somewhere around $450. And here is the number that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. Samsung gives this phone 6 years of software support. 6 years on a $450 phone. That is nearly the same commitment as their $1,000 flagship. A phone you buy today that stays secure and updated into the early 2030s. And it doesn't feel like a compromised device in your hand. You get a big, bright 6.7-inch AMOLED screen running at a buttery 120 Hz. The exact same class of display technology Samsung puts in phones costing 3 times more. A 5,000 mAh battery that comfortably clears a full day. IP-rated water resistance, a design that honestly, from 3 feet away, looks suspiciously like the flagship. So ask yourself the obvious question. If this phone has flagship length support, a flagship class screen, and flagship looks, why doesn't Samsung shout about it? And the answer is the whole game. Because it would cannibalize the phones they make far more money on. Every dollar of marketing muscle Samsung has goes toward the Galaxy S and the foldables, the $1,200 phones. The A37 is deliberately left in the quiet corner of the store because a well-informed buyer who discovers it might realize they never needed to spend $1,000 in the first place. The honest catch: the performance is mid-range, and it's honest about that. The Exynos chip is built for everyday tasks, not heavy gaming, and the charging speed is slower than the specialists on this list. But if what you actually want is a phone that looks great, has a stunning screen, and, crucially, will still be getting security updates when your friend's expensive flagship has been abandoned for years, the A37 5G is the longest-lasting value in Samsung's entire lineup, and it's the one they're hoping you scroll right past. And number 1, the single most phone for your money on the market, the Redmi Note 15 Pro 5G. If there is one phone that proves the entire thesis of this video, that the best value in tech is almost always the phone nobody paid to put in front of you, it is this one. Because on raw hardware for the dollar, nothing else is close. The Redmi Note 15 Pro 5G costs under $300, and for that, here is what you're holding. A 6,580 mAh battery built on new silicon carbon technology, which means it's not just enormous, it's physically denser and longer lasting than the batteries in phones costing 4 times as much. 90-watt fast charging, which is genuinely faster than what most flagships give you. You'll go from nearly dead to most of the way full in the time it takes to shower. And a 200-megapixel main camera, a headline number that, 2 years ago, lived exclusively on $1,000 flagships. Battery charging, camera resolution, in all three, this sub-$300 phone doesn't just compete with the flagships. In some of them, it beats them. So why, if this phone is a genuine spec monster, have most people watching this never held one? One reason: marketing, or rather, the total absence of it. Xiaomi and its Redmi line barely advertise in the Western market. You will not see this phone in your carrier store. You will not see it in a Super Bowl ad. It's the best-selling phone brand you can name in a lot of the world, and near invisible in others. Not because the phone is worse, but because the marketing isn't there. The phone is a giant. The billboard is empty. The honest catch, and it's a real one: the software has more clutter than the clean experiences on this list. Xiaomi's skin comes with extra apps you'll want to trim, and Western availability and cellular band support can be a genuine hurdle depending on where you live. So this is a phone you buy with a little homework rather than a tap at the carrier counter. The update window is also shorter than a pixels. But make no mistake about what this is. This is the phone where you hand a friend a device that cost you less than $300. They use it for a week, and they flatly refuse to believe the price. More battery, faster charging, and a higher resolution camera than phones costing $1,000. Buried almost entirely because the company didn't pay to tell you it exists. That is a gold mine, and now you know it's there. So let's be honest about what actually happened here. Every phone on this list is genuinely great, and every single one of them is ignored for the exact same reason. Not because it's worse, but because the company behind it didn't spend a fortune making sure you'd heard of it. The phones you have heard of, a huge chunk of what you paid for them was the cost of making you hear about them. So, if this changed how you're going to shop for your next phone, smash that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps this reach the next person about to overpay. Remember, a phone doesn't become worth your money the moment a company spends millions telling you it is. The best deal in tech has always been the one hiding quietly, one search away, waiting for someone to actually look.